You got a 4v4 here on Forged Alliance Forever. This is the 4v4 version of Canis River, or the classic 1v1 map, but this one looks very similar. It's actually quite a bit larger. And on top we got Lettuce playing as EAF, Sunbright Destructor, and TGX Davarona. So light blue. And then we got here TGX, Steel Faction, Illwill, Guido, and Never Rising Sun. Surprising to see Never Rising Sun without Voice of Reason, but they have been separated. So now you can see early on you get Davarona moving up with his ACU as Seraphim. We got a Celine. We also got Guido coming out to the middle with the EF. Speed up this initial action. Haven't seen a bomber yet. This is minute 2. Nobody has gone air on the top side. Nobody's gone air on the bottom side. So pretty slow. Never Rising Sun expanding to the side. Looks like he will be running into Wetlettuce. Wetlettuce, best player on the top side for sure. He's usually used to playing on tag teams, but here he'll have to do a little more work. We also got Steel Faction moving out to Cybern. You see both ACUs going. And looks like Destructor with Seraphim. So 2 Seraphim players here. Expanding to the side. We also got Cybern and GEF. No Aeon from the top side, no mercy threat. There is a mercy threat from 2 of the players here, Illwill and Never Rising. So now you can see here Illwill getting a few factories on the other side. So you gotta look at this map. We got 2 choke points. Could be a lot of fighting here. Unless you're Aeon, then you can just walk across. It looks like it'll be a 2v2 and a 2v2. Although maybe a 2v1 on the bottom. And now we see some early flares running into a tank, and the tank wins without micro. So Lettuce is going to establish a base here on the other side of the river. It's going to be supported by Sunbright, Cybern, EF here. Never Rising Sun is Aeon. Now he's getting an ACU upgrade. And Guido also getting an upgrade. So Guido already has the gun, so he's getting something else. Not too much fighting here. First 6 minutes. We can see what the map is going to be basically cut in this diagonal, with Steel Faction pushing this side. Perhaps a fight here in the middle from Illwill and Davarona. And the ACU, the upgraded ACU from Guido, getting hit by some Arty with 4 kills. Never Rising Sun already got 1 gun upgrade, getting the second. So Aeon with 2 gun upgrades, going to be very interesting. And we see Wetlettuce also getting an upgrade. Very little air in this one. Looks like Illwill is basically dominating. Nice Air Force from Sunbright as well, and now he's moving it in. There are some jesters there as well. Perhaps they'll try to catch Illwill out. Not enough interceptors for sure here from Illwill, and he's really pushing hard with his ACU. He's going to run into Destructor's force. Might actually get sandwiched here, so he's got to be careful. There is a force here of some Mantis that might help him out. It looks like he'll just go back. Yeah, he's putting himself into a little bit of danger. We do see some T2 PD being constructed. T2 NG. You get Never Rising Sun with 2 guns. Guido with a gun and a T2 upgrade. And it looks like this small base from Sunbright is going to be run over by these 2 ACUs. We also see support here from Steel Faction. And looks like here Illwill is actually able to deal with the situation. He's got plenty of support now, pushing with ACU. Davarona getting another upgrade. Already has the gun. And here we see T2 PD from Lettuce. They are not firing. Looks like they're set on hold fire. You can see here. Lettuce can, well actually no. These are not quite in range. It's nice. He Lettuce pushing out with his ACU. He's going to run into 2 of them. And T1 PD now constructed. Now Wetlettuce is going to get some kills with his ACU. You can see these are still on hold fire. Guido moves in, Never Rising Sun moves in. Runs into T1 PD. Now these were set to fire against Guido here. Well, Guido gets out of the range. Now Never Rising Sun is going to be hit. And Never Rising, this is the weakness of Aeon. With 2 gun upgrades doesn't really have a little extra health, and now Never Rising Sun forgot that he is getting hit by T2 PD. He's going to be running away. And here on middle 11, there goes Never Rising Sun, first kill of the game. And Guido's got to be running away as well. So early on, it looks like a very even fight in terms of map control. There shouldn't be give, so this base right here from Never Rising disappears. A lot of master reclaim for Guido. We do see Ill Will still pushing against Davarona. He's got the gun in his ACU, so it's a good weapon. But really nice force from Steel Faction. He's got a little bit of base here, some T2. Looks like the ACU is retreating. Destructor's ACU is also in an area with T2. See, Wetlettuce getting a little T2 power. And down the middle, big problems for Davarona. He's going down to 300 health. Actually, looks like we'll be able to escape with his life. He's got Yoshivas in support. And Ill Will is actually in a little bit of trouble. He's got to retreat hard, 45 kills. And I'm getting hit by some jesters. And those jesters were taken away. Now they come back. 200 health, and there goes Ill Will. So now it's only 2 versus 4. It's got Guido and Steel Faction taking on Wetlettuce, Sunbright, Davarona, and Destructor. And after that death from Ill Will, big push from Steel Faction with the Mantis, but they're going to run into these Yoshivas. They're going to collect a lot of kills. And it looks like area is now dominated by Wetlettuce. He's using these Janus bombers, excellent bombers from UEF. Looks like he's targeting the T2 mass spots, but quite a bit of T2 flak here, so it's not possible to get many. Oh, 150 health left. Many passes in. This is a great target right here, some power storage. That explodes very nicely. More T2 bombers from Wetlettuce, and now it looks like this push from Steel Faction has been finally destroyed. A lot of wrecks here to reclaim for the top side, so for the time being, minute 14, lots of trouble for the bottom side. Looks like T3 land here from Steel Faction is making flak. Not surprising, they were just getting bombed by T2 bombers. You see Wetlettuce pushing out with his ACU. Looks like he's got a back upgrade like the missile launcher. And it's a base here from Guido to protect against any pushes from Wetlettuce, but Wetlettuce just goes around. There's also a nice T2 force with a lot of pillars. They're a little slow, but they might be able to put up a nice fight. And now the Jesters from Sunbright attacking mass extractors, but now the T2 flag from Steel Faction takes care of those. I see Destructor doing a T2 PD creep against Steel Faction, but quite a few T2 PDs from Cybern. Cybern might be in a little bit of a trouble with these hills. Same could be said about Seraphim, of course. And now we see these cruise missiles. It was pretty devastating against Guido. These are coming from Wetlettuce's ACU. You can see it's just a barrage. It really sucks when this happens to your base. You can see those missiles coming in. You gotta remember these units here, they're not deflecting, which is surprising. It's maybe this T3 Siren cannot deflect UEF missiles, and Wetlettuce's raid finally makes it into Never Rising Sun's old base. And these missiles just continue to come. At 28 kills, it was just 7 less than a minute ago. And here's the push from Destructor. He's running over Wetlettuce's forward base. Now this T3, these loyalists are coming out for Steel Faction, take care of the raid, and now are moving out. But a lot of big losses for Guido here. His forward base is pretty secure, and he's got a nice T2 force protecting any sneak attacks, and looks like walls from Wetlettuce is the plan. Looks like Destructor's actually capturing these mass extractors. That's not good teamwork from Wetlettuce and Destructor, trying to kill the units he's trying to capture. But here comes this loyalist force. We only see T2 here from Destructor, some Yoshivas. This loyalist force is going to be pretty brutal. You see it's something like 15 of these, and these are T3. But these bombers are trying to attack these loyalists. Some of the loyalists are dying. And all be Destructor. He's got some T2 PDs protecting. See that overcharge? Some of these TDs getting taken out. There's a Yoshiva. And you can see the ACU targeted by T3, and T3 versus ACU. ACU dies very quickly, so this is now 2v3. Guido and Steel Faction versus Lettuce, Sunbright, and Verona. Pretty big loss. Destructor had a very big chunk of the map. And now you can see these loyalists continue to rush through. Plus this area here says so many T3 wrecks, so much mass. Something that is very needed by Guido, who lost most of his base. So now you can see the ACU for Lettuce, now with 31 kills, continues to push with these missiles. Now actually targeting directly Steel Faction. Steel Faction's got some TMD. And Cybern TMD is very difficult to beat, the best TMD in the game. If you want to be sure that you won't get hit, you can argue AN's slightly better, but depends on the situation. You can see these raiders. This is mostly Mantis, but there's still this one a loyalist pushing really hard and then gets taken out by some bombs. It's good work from Lettuce. And then here come the missiles. It's, unless you have really good tactical missile defense coverage, ACU with this upgrade will just pick you apart. You can see all these T2 mass extractors. A lot of eco invested in those getting taken out. It's going to be a nice loyalist Mantis force from Steel Faction. This T2 force from Guido is just holding on the back door, really can't push against these T2 PDs. Maybe with some missile launchers it'd be nice pressure. The plan for Wetlettuce is T3 ground. Perhaps we'll see some Perseus. We see T2 air from Sunbright. Not much at all from Verona. He's just making T2 power at his base. Lettuce has been really pushing the action for the top side. Now that Destructor's dead, and here's another raiding force here with these loyalists. They have a chance of capturing this entire area. Lettuce doesn't really have enough to secure. This is a nice stream of T3. Looks like those missiles are getting through. Very good missiles from the UEF ACU. We do see some T3 mass extractors in the back for Steel Faction. Has a very good eco. And now we're actually seeing the loyalists moving in. Just massacring NGs here, going up against some gunships. So we need a little air protection for these loyalists, otherwise their time is really running out. We also see some loyalists coming in from some other sides, taking on some hoplites, and we see now Verona in quite a bit of trouble, now getting targeted. We are seeing Perseus coming in from Wetlettuce trying to save his allies, but there's only so much you can do, and now it becomes a 2v2. But of course Perseus versus Loyalists is a good matchup for the UEF. Now we got Lettuce and Sunbright versus Guido and Steel Faction. And still a stream of Loyalists, not much you can do against them. Actually, that explosion took out all those T2 gunships. So now we need more, but it doesn't look like Sunbright is going to make. He's making T3. And Wetlettuce feels like he's on his own, which is in fact true. He is on his own. See a lot of T3 anti-air from Steel Faction. He's expecting a lot of air from this top side. Perhaps these Percies is the hope for Wetlettuce. He can push out. What the surprising thing is that Wetlettuce has still kept a lot of his base here on top. Looks like the Loyalists are now moving in directly into Wetlettuce's base. There's a lot of big mass extractors, T3 mass extractors, but a lot of T2 PD here as well. It'd be nice if this attack was combined with the attack from the T2 from Guido. But this should leave a lot of really big wrecks with these Loyalists. They are targeting. Well, actually, no. These once they kill these T2 PD, the rest of this area from Wetlettuce is going to be wiped out, and there's a lot of reinforcements. Yeah, so far these Loyalists have just been brutal. They killed the structure, they killed the Verona, and now they're killing Lettuce. They're just massacring his base. Guido hasn't really done much since his base was destroyed, but really held the line well against Lettuce. And it's really been this factory that's winning the game here at minute 23. See a drop here from Steel Faction right into the mix of a whole bunch of Wetlettuce units. I can see these Loyalists really took care of the situation very quickly. Now where are the Percies from Wetlettuce? These could do something about those Loyalists. Now I see a stream of Loyalists coming up to the top, so the days are numbered for this top base. Perhaps a little T1 PD here. Buy a little more time. Now we're seeing a lot of gunships have been remained by Sunbright, and these are quite good against Loyalists. So air is controlled by the top side. You do see a little T1 coming in from Steel Faction, but it will be wiped out. Not a lot of flak with these Loyalists at all, so a bit of a mistake from Steel Faction. Now we do see some T2 flak at the base that's coming out into the field. Lettuce got a nice shield on his ACU. He's got, looks like T3. And the overcharge on the gun. Now we also see Loyalists. This is a very nice Percy force from Lettuce. And these are just massacring these Loyalists as they come in. Really no chance for them. So perhaps Wetlettuce using this force and air control can push out a lot of dead units here for Wetlettuce. He can support his economy. This stream of Loyalists continues. Perhaps switching to bricks would be a good idea, given that there's so many Percies from Wetlettuce. Now we're seeing Sunbright a third of the way done with the Spiderbot. This could be a very good idea given there's so much mass here, as long as you have the power, and actually a fatty being constructed by Wetlettuce. So at this point, very hard game to call. Even though we just saw the top team get run over, they have excellent abilities. They have plenty of air, plenty of gunships. They got experimentals on the way. They have plenty of Percies. Really nothing that can be done against them by this bottom side. The bottom side really has to be thinking about making experimentals and scouting. Now, even though Guido did get beat up pretty hard, he's been very quiet most of this game. And this is going to be an epic drop if it's successful. It looks like a whole bunch of Percies in there. And yeah, you don't want these to be shut down. At least one of them does. That was an epic drop from Wetlettuce. He completely jumped over all these Loyalists. And the Percies are going to be moving in directly on Steel Faction's base as well as Guido's base. Here come the Percys. What can you do against it? Steel Faction says Jesus. That's a good start. And he really should have been making a lot more units. These Loyalists now trying to come back to the base by getting wiped out by T2 Air. Excellent play from the top side. Now here come the Loyalists. Took out a whole bunch of T2 power already. Steel Faction's ACU is just sitting there. He's got to run or he's got to overcharge. He really needs to overcharge and get very lucky. And there it goes, Steel Faction's ACU. See how quickly he died. Great work from Wetlettuce. Now here we saw UEF really show that if you want to play T3 ground, you're going to lose against UEF. But we got to see very good work from Sunbright as well with those T2 gunships. But it's been for the most part Wetlettuce putting a lot of pressure on this bottom side, surviving, and then using the Percys to win the game. Whereas Guido's ACU is moving in to face these. I actually see the spider has been completed by Sunbright. Fatty is nearly completed by Wetlettuce. Now we're going to see this ACU take on these Percys. You see it's just devastation. So Guido just got to hit really hard. And there goes the game. The top side wins with two players surviving, Wetlettuce and Sunbright.